Assalamualaikum and very good day to everyone. I'm Dr. Sahara binti Abdullah, or known as Teacher Sahara. Today, we are going to look at listening paper 4 and writing paper 2. Listening, we will be focusing on part 2 and part 4. Whereas for writing, I'll be doing part 1 email. By the end of the session, pupils will be able to answer part 2 and part 4 of listening paper correctly. Write an email in the correct format. Okay, students, let's focus on listening paper 4. As I mentioned earlier, we will be only doing part 2 and part 4. Okay, here is the format. Okay, overall, we have 4 parts. Part 1, 7 marks. Part 2, 8 marks. Part 3, 5 marks. Part 4, 10 marks. Total marks would be 30, but it carries 25% and time allocated 40 minutes. Okay, here are the stages. Okay, I divide listening into 3 stages, which are pre-listening, first listening and second listening. Okay, what are you supposed to do during pre-listening stage? Okay, before you listen, when there's an instruction asking you to look through the question. Okay, so what you're supposed to do, read the instruction, read the questions and answer options quickly and underline the keywords in the questions. You don't have much time, but you have to do all these, okay, in a very quick mode. Okay, then during the first listening, okay, what are you supposed to do? Listen for the specific information. You need to answer the questions. Take note of the content and flow of information as delivered by the speakers. Take note of each possible options. Beware that most of the likely answers may be paraphrased. Choose the most suitable answer for the question. Students, I would like to remind you something. Once you listen something, it doesn't mean that is the correct answer. Okay, you have to know what is the need of the question. Look at the question, read the question, what they are asking, what is the need. Then you have to choose the appropriate answer for that particular question. It is not you choose the answer just because they have mentioned something. Okay, so during the second listening, what are you supposed to do? Figure out the missing answer. Listen for the information that you missed, and of course, you have to check your answers. Later on, as I mentioned, let's look at part 2 first. Listening. Okay, so here are the tips for part 2. What are you supposed to do? You have to remember, part 2 is a long, lengthy type of audio. Okay, so when you have time to read through the questions, please read the questions carefully to get an idea of what the recording will be about. Please read, okay, because I see most of the students, they don't read. They look at their friends, they smile, okay. Sometimes they even chit-chat. So please don't do all that. Think about the information the questions have already given you. Then look through the answer options, okay. We'll also tell about the content of the audio. Don't panic if you read or hear some words that you don't understand. Guess the meaning from the context. If you do not understand what is from the context, ask your teachers how to identify meaning using context clues. Okay, if you can't or if you still might be able to answer the question correctly, then eliminate the other answer, 3 options. With these ideas in mind, it will help you to choose the best option when you hear the conversation. Remember, students, when you read the questions, you have to read it quickly as well as the answer options, because the time given to you to read the question is very limited. So please pay attention and underline, okay? Underline or highlight the answer options which you have to pay attention, and also underline or highlight the questions needed, okay? Let's move on. Okay, let's play. I will be playing the audio for part 2. We are only going to do 3 sample questions for part 2. So once it's played, try to answer question 8, 9 and 10, and I will explain on how to guess the answers. Yes.
It was a bright spring afternoon along the Maryland coast when I was driving home with my 13-year-old daughter, Amy. We were enjoying the air as I drove on the Route 90 bridge of Little Round Bay. Suddenly, we heard the squeal of tires. A black pickup truck was skidding from one lane to the other. It slammed into the concrete barrier, spun like a top, and flipped over the SUV in front of us. Then, the black pickup ended up dangling over the bridge railing. I managed to brake just in time, but a BMW hit my car. I had to stop my car and do a quick check on Amy. She was not hurt, but shaken. I decided to check on the BMW's driver, so I went out of the car. The driver was fine, but was too shocked to speak. Then, I heard a scream coming from the pickup. A man climbed up from the driver's side. I rushed beside him.
Alright students, okay, I hope you have guessed the answers for question number 8, 9 and 10. Let's look at the answers. Okay, before we guess the answer, here is the transcript of the audio you heard just now. Okay, for question number 8, okay, it's actually a long audio, but then I have trimmed it and just to discuss few questions. Okay, so what caused the accident? Okay, look at the transcript. A black pickup truck was skidding from one lane to the other. It slammed into the concrete barrier, spun like a top and flipped over the SUV in front of us. Then the black pickup ended up dangling over the bridge railing. So what could be the possible answer? A car did not brake on time? No, it's not mentioned. Okay, or it is not the correct answer. The accident was not caused by because of the brake, right? I mean the car. A truck went off lane. Could be, okay, and a BMW broke down. Is it the reason why the accident happened? I think you know the answer, which is B. Okay, so you have to understand the need of the question. The question asks the cause of the accident. So the cause is truck went off lane. Okay, let's look at question number 9. Okay, what happened to Amy? She was injured, she was trembling, she was too shocked to speak. Okay, let's look at this, okay? If you hear, it says that I managed to brake just in time, but a BMW hit my car. I had to stop my car and do a quick check on Amy. So here, they have mentioned Amy. So you have to pay attention when you hear this kind of names, because the question have name, right? So she was not hurt, but shaken. Shaken means what? Okay, injured? Was she injured? Is it the meaning of shaken or trembling or was too shocked to speak? The answer is trembling, because the meaning of shaken is trembling. I decided to check on the BMW's driver, so I went out of the car. The driver was fine, but, right? Okay, so what was the man's reaction when Amanda rushed beside him? So this audio is actually from midterm paper. So I hope you can hear again and guess the correct answers and try to re-answer in order for you to get the correct answers. Okay, always remember part 2 is something which is long, but if you really pay attention, then it will be easier for you to answer. Okay, so let's move on to part 4 tips. Okay, part 4. What is part 4? What is in part 4? I think you are well aware of the questions in part 4. Remember, you have to fill in the blanks, students. So when you have to fill in the blanks, what are you supposed to do? Read the questions carefully before listening to the recording. Okay, read. Okay, this is what always the teachers say. Read and read before the first listening starts. And also you have to analyze. When it comes to part 4, when you have time, please analyze. Okay, what is in paragraph 1? They're talking about what? Paragraph 2 is about what? So it will be helpful for you when you listen. Let's say you miss certain parts, then you know where to focus. Okay, think about what sort of words the answers might be. That way you will know what to listen out for when you hear the recording. Write the word that you hear. You won't need to change any ending, tenses, articles or anything else. Students, please pay attention, okay? When you hear something, let's say it's in singular, then you have to answer in singular. Let's say it's a plural verb, then you have to answer in plural. Okay, please don't, change, okay? If it's in past tense, then you have to answer in past tense. If it's in future tense, then you have to answer in future tense, okay? And then another thing, please pay attention to transition, okay? Like the linkers which shows transition, okay? Because these are the things will show you or will tell you where to focus. And when you read the question, remember to look at the parts where you have to look. Okay, when you hear the audio, you have to read like parallel to what you hear. Because there will be clues in the words or in the text and the words which mentioned in the audio. So always please, your eyes must move parallel to what you have been hearing and what's in the text. Okay, so let's move on to a practice. Okay, so you'll be hearing a short, okay, this question is actually 10, but I'm only going to focus 21 until 23. So try to answer question 21 to 23. I'll play the audio now.
Hello everyone, you are listening to our podcast Money Matters. In today's episode, I will be interviewing our special guest Zamira, who is a well-established thrift shop founder. Welcome, Zamira.
Hi, it's an honor to be here.
Zamira is a proud owner of Revive, a pre-loved clothing boutique which is popular among local youths for quality and rare findings. Can you tell us about how you started thrifting?
Certainly. I'm a huge fan of thrift shops myself. My love for them started back in Australia during my student years. I remember buying a pair of made-in-England leather boots for less than $10. There's just a certain thrill in finding rare items for dirt cheap prices.
Recently, there has been a tremendous rise in thrift shops in Malaysia. How did you start your business?
After returning to Malaysia, I noticed a demand for vintage clothing. I began to do some research online on wholesale outlets that sell bales of clothes from overseas. I also read a lot of pop culture media to keep up with fashionable figures. If done correctly, good research can lead to higher profit.
Wow, that's an interesting point. Being an entrepreneur means doing your homework too. Are there other strategies you follow to keep ahead of your competitors?
It's important to develop a store image that will appeal to customers. For me, I focus on American and Japanese clothing. The main
Okay, alright students. Okay, look at the text, okay. Bundle business boom. Zamira is the owner of a well-established thrift store that attracts local youths for its quality and rare findings. Her love for thrift shopping started during her, so what could be the answer? Okay, years in Australia. She bought a pair of leather boots for less than $10, which gave her a, what could be the answer? I hope you got the answers, okay. To start her business, she did on wholesale outlets that sold bales of clothes from overseas. Okay, let's look at the transcript now. Okay, for question number 21. Okay, look at that. Okay, so where you have to pay attention when the interviewer is asking something. So there's a clue for you where you can get the answer. So if you could see here or even you hear Zamira, okay, the interviewer asked Zamira about this, okay. Zamira is the proud owner of Revive, a pre-loved clothing boutique which is popular among local youths for quality and rare findings. Can you tell us about how you started thrifting? So you see, started is already a clue for you. Okay, when the interviewer asking or say the word started, that's a clue for you for question number 21. The word started is there. Okay, and you look at Zamira, what she answered. Certainly, I'm a huge fan of thrift shop myself. My love for them started back in Australia during my student years. You see, again the word started is there, even though there are not many clues in that particular question, but you could see the started is like repeating, the word. So this is how you guess the answer. So when that started And then you see the answer, back in Australia during my student years. So what is the answer? Years is there. You see 21 is an empty space, then years is there. So the answer is student years. Years, okay? So very good. So the answer is actually student years, okay? Student. Remember, you have to answer only in one word. Okay, the instruction will always say a word answer. Don't go and write many words, then it's going to be wrong. Okay, so you have to only answer correctly. Okay, student. Okay, and then look at question number 2. Okay, sorry, question number 22. Okay, she bought a pair of leather boots for less than $10, which gave her a. Look at the word, okay, article a. So you have to pay attention to all these clues in the question. Okay, there is article a. So after a should be what? You have to understand. If the article is an, then what could be the answer? So all these things are clues to you for the answers. Okay, look at Zamira. What she says. Certainly, I'm a huge fan of thrift shops myself. My love for them started back in Australia during my student years. I remember buying a pair of made in England leather boots for less than $10. There's just a certain thrill in finding rare items for dirt cheap prices. So the answer is actually here. Okay, so how you know the answer is here? You see $10 is in the question, right? After $10 only there's the space. So the answer might be only after the Zamira says about $10. So the answer is actually thrill. Okay, the clue is actually $10 and the answer is thrill. I hope you got the answers. Okay, let's look at question number 23. To start her business, okay, look at the word, to start her business. And what the interviewer says. Recently, there has been a tremendous rise in thrift shops in Malaysia. How did you start your business? So look at the clue. Interviewer is giving you clue where to find the answer. So when you listen, start your business, and when you see the paragraph is start her business, then the answer is going to be somewhere there. So what the interviewee say? After returning to Malaysia, I noticed a demand for vintage clothing. I began to do some research online on wholesale outlets that sells bales of clothes from overseas. Look at the question now. To start her business, she did. You see, the clue in the answer given by Zamira. I began to do some research on wholesale outlets. You see, wholesale outlets are there. Okay, and then began to do, but here she did. So these are the clues where how you can guess the answer. So the answer is actually research. So that's what I would like to say again, that you have to listen and you have to look at the clues. Okay, normally clues you can get by what the interviewer is saying, and the answers will be from the answer from the interviewee. Okay, so please pay attention to all this. Okay, before I move on to email writing, I would like to give you some additional tips for part 4 listening. Students, please remember, when you while you are listening and you are guessing the answers, if you do not know the spelling of the words, don't crack your head to spell correctly at that point of time. Okay, yes, you have to answer with the correct spelling, but you spell it correctly when you have to transfer the answers to the answer sheet. Remember, you have 6 minutes to transfer the answers to the answer sheet. So that's the time you crack your head to spell it correctly and write on the answer sheet. Don't be panic and don't try to guess the correct spelling while you are listening. Okay, what will happen when you try to do so? You will miss the other answers. You will be very panicked and you might, miss the whole thing. So please don't crack your head to guess the correct spelling during the listening. Okay, try to guess just write whatever comes to your mind for that particular spelling. But when you transfer the answer to the answer sheet, then that's the time you have to really spell it correctly. Okay, remember the answers on your answer sheets are very important. Okay, so make sure you mark it correctly, you blacken or you darken it correctly, and also you spell it correctly. Okay, so always remember this. And when you answer part 4, first, as I mentioned earlier, read the question, read the, the clues are given before the blanks, okay, whether it's article, the linkers or transition linkers, all these things, okay, so that, and when you have time to read the question, please, okay, I really like to tell you that you have to analyze, okay, analyze a little that paragraphs given. If there are 2 paragraphs, then analyze what is all about in first paragraph and what is in second paragraph. From there, even if you miss some of the answer options, then you know where to focus during your second listening. So I hope I have shared the most for part 2 and part 4 listening. Okay, let's move on to the next part, which is email part 1, paper 2, writing. Okay, students. I hope you are familiar with the assessment scale. Okay, when we say assessment scale, okay, you should know for writing part 1, content, CA, organization, language. Okay, for 5, to get 5 for content, you must answer all the content points given. I would say the task given to you. Okay, CA, look at what they have mentioned for CA. Produces a text that communicates straightforward ideas using the conventions of the communicative task reasonably appropriately. So, okay, I would like to tell that part 1 email is actually easy to score. But if you didn't follow the assessment scale, then you're going to lose a lot of marks. Don't do that mistakes. Okay, this is actually to help students to get all the marks. Okay, so you have to answer as required by the assessment scale. For organization, it's actually very easy to score 4 or 5. But you must know how to score. In order to score well, then you have to use simple connectors and a limited number of cohesive devices appropriately. Language, as usual, okay, the errors are noticeable, it's okay, but meaning must be determined, can still be determined. And then you should be using basic vocabulary appropriately and simple grammatical forms with a good degree of control. So pay attention to this assessment scale and answer accordingly. Okay, let's move on. How to structure your response. For email, very simple. You should have greetings, you should have response, you should answer the question, okay, which I always say the task, and you have to have closing. Very simple. You can write in 3 paragraphs, or some students write in 1 paragraph, but I will always recommend you to write in 3 paragraphs. 1 greeting, the second is answering the questions, and 1 conclusion. So it will be easier, okay, and the examiners can really detect where you have answered what. Okay, for greetings, how you can start, hi, hello, dear, and then very simple kind of greeting is thanks for your email. Okay, or you can also say that how are you feeling today, how's everything, but it is not really necessary. Okay, and then the response part. Okay, whatever the particular question says, then you respond accordingly. Something like, I'm happy to hear from you. It's a surprise to receive your email. Thank you for writing to me. Thanks for the wishes. It sounds amazing. Okay, if they have shared good news, then you can say, wow, what a great idea, or wow, what's a good news. Okay, I'm so sorry to hear that, or I am sorry to hear that. Okay, and you have to answer the question. Okay, if let's say there are 3 questions, then you have to have answer for question 1, then you have some elaboration. Okay, and don't forget to use linking words and cohesive devices. Remember that. And then you must have closing. The opening, I mean the greeting part and also the closing, it can be just short ones. It doesn't need to be lengthy ones. Okay, the most important part is your answers for the questions. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, look at the question. You received an email from your best friend Mia, who wants your opinion on something. So this one asking you for opinion. So email questions can be like, asking for advice, asking for opinion, and then like you have to give some advice, suggestions, or this kind of questions. Okay, but this one is on opinion. So, hi, my parents will celebrate their 20th wedding anniversary next month, but I am not sure what to do to surprise them. Please help me. What is the best way for me to surprise them on their wedding anniversary? Where do you think I should surprise them, and how much money should I spend on it? So, from this question, you should know what is your task. What are the questions you have to answer? Okay, so all the questions are highlighted it's bold. Okay, so I'll be waiting for your reply. Bye. Okay, let's look at the task. What is the best way for me to surprise them on their wedding anniversary? So this is your first content, C1. Second, where do you think I should surprise them? Second content, C2. And C3 is how much money should I spend on it? So you have three tasks, okay, 3 content points which you have to answer in order for you to get C5. Remember that. You answer all these 3, then you get C5. Okay, move on. Okay, here is a sample answer. What I mentioned earlier, first part, greetings and one opening, right? So opening, what you can say, then this is the question. Okay, look at the question. So how you can start the opening? Okay, let's look at the answer. See, it's great to hear from you, the greetings. So the response, wow, it's a great idea to celebrate a happy occasion for your parents. So the response is there, the greetings is there. Okay, next, let's look at how to answer the question with some elaboration. Okay, so as for me, I will recommend you to throw a surprise party at home to add on. Okay, look at how the cohesive devices or the linkers have been used. Okay, throwing a surprise party at home will be great as you can invite your relatives and their close friends too. And then you look at this. My suggestion is to discuss with your siblings to lend a hand. Okay, remember, this is informal. When it comes to email, it is informal kind of writing. So it's okay for you to use this kind of phrases. Okay, it's not cheap to throw a surprise party. It may cost more than 200. But if your siblings put in the money, you will be able to organize a great party. Okay, let's look at the last part. I hope my suggestions are helpful to you. So this is the closing. So we have greetings, response, and then answer the task. Okay, which are, you look at the task as mentioned earlier. The tasks are, what is the best way for me to surprise them? Okay, so the best way. Where do you think? Okay, the place. Okay, please. Okay, we have came through this kind of answers. When people ask where, the candidates used to answer anywhere. What time? Anytime. How much? It depends on you. No. Please don't answer in that way. Give a specific answer. When they ask where, then you can say at home, okay, at a resort, something like that. How much? You have to state the amount. Okay, please answer accordingly, according to the need of the question. Okay, don't simply answer. Then you are going to lose your content points. Okay, so look at the sample answer which we have discussed earlier. So, throw a surprise party where it is mentioned, at home, and how much? it is like around 200, and there are elaborations. So when elaborations are there, you see all these linkers are used well, there are cohesive devices, the answers are well planned, organized, then it is going to be C5, CA5, O5 and language 5 because there are no mistakes. Okay, so look at this. I hope this is the closing, very short. Okay, don't need to give lengthy closings or lengthy openings. So I hope my suggestions are helpful to you. And I believe that you are very good in writing emails by now. Okay, we have only few months to SPM, and I believe that you are good enough in writing emails. So practice, keep practice, and then you are going to score really well in email writing. Okay, so look at this. Take care, bye, and your friend Jacqueline. So I hope my tips have helped you in writing email and earlier listening part 2 and part 4. With that, thank you for listening and thanks for being with me. Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone.